Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and I thought I'd take the opportunity today to do a multiple passion fruit taste comparison. Have a look at the different fruits from different varieties or different species and see what they taste like and see what people think. Some you'll certainly be familiar with, others you might not have done, depending on how many exotic ones you've tried. Now obviously this one here is the common or garden purple passion fruit, the one that you can buy in just about any supermarket in the UK most of the year round. This is Passiflora edulis. Now, and what I'll try and do is probably go through these in the order of what I think the sweetness might be when it comes to tasting them, but I might be proven to be wrong. This is a banana passion fruit. Now that can refer to Passiflora tarminia or Passiflora mellissima. They're quite similar species, so there is some differentiation, but they're generally both known as banana passion fruits because they produce a near identical fruit, so there's no way to know for sure which one this actually is. One that you've seen me taste more commonly is the sweet granadilla, which is Passiflora ligularis. This is the one that I think will be the sweetest, and this one here is a particularly large version of a yellow maracuya, which is another form of Passiflora edulis, I believe, and this variation though is flavicarpa. Now normally they're smaller than this. I mean, this almost looks like a fruit of a giant granadilla or quadrangularis, Passiflora quadrangularis, but I believe it's too perfectly round, and they did have other maracuyas on the stall that were much smaller, close to the size of this granadilla. I think this is probably ripe. Can't always tell with these. No idea if it's going to be sweet or tart. Obviously the ones I always find the most tart normally and very zingy and refreshing are the Passiflora edulis, depending on how long they've been in the shop for. So I'm going to flip the camera around and we'll cut each one open and compare the colours of the flesh and have a quick taste and see which ones are sour, which ones are sweet, and what sort of flavours they've got. And I'll probably leave the sweet granadilla to last, as they are, in my experience, normally the sweetest. But we'll start with the purple passion fruit, and then we can compare them with the size and juiciness. Let me flip the camera around and we'll go ahead with the tasting in comparison. Okay, so here we are. Purple passion fruit, probably about the size of a large hen's egg or a largish plum. Certainly it's the one that most people are familiar with. Nice on top of sort of ice cream, pavlovas, things like that, because it's got that kind of nice sort of tanginess, acidic tanginess to it that tends to counter the very sweet desserts. So let's see if we can cut this open and see what this one looks like inside. These ones you can eat from when they're smooth to when they start to shrivel up, and they actually can get very, very shriveled. Now the downside of leaving them till they're very shriveled is of course they'll tend to be a little bit drier inside. So let's cut this one open and see what the flesh and juice content is. Generally I tend to find that they don't have a particularly high flesh content. Obviously it's to do with the size of the fruit. Now this one's a little bit dry inside, it's not juicy. I have had them juicier. You can't always tell how long it is since they've been picked. And sometimes being a little bit juicy might concentrate the sweetness. Let's see what this one tastes like. Yeah, that's really got that sort of sharp, tangy acidity to it. You can probably hear the crunch. For people who haven't eaten them, passion fruit seeds are completely safe to eat. They are edible. They're not hard like guava seeds. You can hear that crunch, but it's a very soft crunch is they have a very thin shell on the seeds. So obviously I could keep these and sow them if I had room, but I haven't. So in this case, I'm just going to be eating them. I won't be keeping any of the seeds. And you can see the those little lumps or papules or whatever they're called there are where the seeds are actually attached to the shell. I'm not aware of passion fruit shell casings being edible anyway, if anybody has found a way to use them, and some passion fruits do have cyanide in them, so it's probably wise not to eat the bits you're not sure about. So the next one we're going to try is the banana passion fruit. As I said, this will be Passiflora tarminia or Passiflora mellissima, depending on where they've originated from. They're very similar species. They have been differentiated between them botanically, but even the flowers are very similar looking, but there are differences, so that's why they've been given different species names. Pretty ripe looking, this one. As you can see, it's about 4 inches long. So let's cut this one open. Normally the flesh is an orangey colour on this. This one certainly looks very juicy, which is promising. Might mean it's got a reasonable level of sweetness. Okay, let's pull this up, let you have a look. As I suspected, it's more of an orange coloured flesh to it. Very, very full with flesh and seeds. So let's see what this one's like. I often find these quite bland and not much sweetness to them, but let's see. Quite sharp. Seeds seem to have a bit more crunch to this one. It's not sweet. Quite citrusy, I would say, actually. It's got that sort of almost got a lemon acidity to it. Quite unusual. Seeds are definitely much harder in this one, for whatever reason. Yeah, really crunchy. Much more than I'm used to. And again, let's show you the inside of the empty casing. So you can see where the seeds and the flesh are attached. So the next one to try is this gigantic maracuya. I think it's probably the largest one I've ever seen, ever bought. And whether or not that means it's going to be full of flesh, edible flesh and pulp, remains to be seen. Now these, as you will see in a minute, let's see if I can cut through it. Yeah, not surprisingly, for such a large fruit, not as much flesh in it you'd hope. You can't always assume that because these large fruits are going to have a lot of flesh in. I think what you can see, the issue with these is these have a very thick skin on them. Now, if this was Passiflora quadrangularis, I believe they can be cooked like a squash as a vegetable, and it may well be. It's an expert out there might tell me whether this can be done with maracuya as well. I've no idea. Now let's see what this one tastes like. It's got exactly the same colour flesh, interestingly, as the banana one, but I was thinking it might be a bit sweeter. Still not sweet. Still got that tangy acidity to it. It's quite sharp. That's even more citrusy than the banana one. It's got a real sort of it's got a real lemon with a hint of orange in the background. think it'd be nice in the juice with something sweeter. Cool, that is sharp. The more I ate of that, the more tangy and sharp it was. Wow. It's got a real sharpness to it, that has. Phew. Now, normally, this is the sweet one, the sweet granadilla, Passiflora ligularis. Probably the one that I wish I could grow if I had a greenhouse with a space for it. Well, these tend to have a much more, yeah, these have got a much more sort of, almost like a pale green interior. Whoops, I'm going to drop that one out. And I've had these when they've been really, really sweet and really juicy. But they are a bit variable, but they're definitely the sweetest of them. Let's see what this one's like. Much thinner skinned, of course. Yeah, that's the sweetest of them by quite a long way. It's not the best one I've ever had. I've had some that were really, really sweet. They probably vary, just like most fruits do, from variety to variety. No way of knowing where these originated. I've actually bought them at a local shop where they've been sweeter than this. But it's the sweetest of the ones I've got here. To be fair, I'd say my favourite two normally are the regular cheap purple passion fruit that you can buy in any supermarket, because I love that sort of, they've got a really nice tanginess to them, and the sweet granadillas are my other favourites as well. Whether or not it's worth buying the banana ones just as a curiosity once in a while to have one, and this maracuya is really quite sharp, quite acidic and sour. I think I've had sweeter ones before. Perhaps I should. They had some smaller maracuyas there. Perhaps I should have bought the smaller ones and tried those as well. But I thought one of those was enough because that was quite expensive. Obviously, that size fruit. I think it was about £4.50 or something. The other ones, the sweet granadillas and the banana ones, tend to be about £2.50 to £2.60 each. And of course, these purple ones, I think it was three for £1, or maybe £1.20 or something in the supermarket on special offer. So far and away the best value, and of course they are smaller. Anyway, I hope that comparison was of some interest to people watching, because you don't often get to see or taste some of the other passion fruit varieties. Even in Europe they tend to be very rare, apart from the most common ones. Please give me a thumbs up. Share the video if you think anybody else would be interested in seeing a passion fruit tasting. Please subscribe to my channel. Remember to click on the bell if you like updates on new videos when they come out. I'll see you all in the next video. Brett out for now.